What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. It's that time. Canelo versus Lara. Gotta make my prediction. A lot of you guys have been asking me about my prediction, who I'm picking, why. So here's the video. And that just means we have a good fight on our hands because a lot of people are inquiring and they want to know who's picking who and that kind of thing. So this is my prediction, and I'm gonna be 100% with you guys. And you know me, just keep it 100. This is a very tough fight to call. It's a 50-50 fight, and it's a pick'em fight. I really can make a sound argument for either fighter winning, and that just lets you know how good of a fight it is because you can make a very valid argument for either person winning. On one hand, you could say Edeslandi Lara, he got caught by Angulo. So if someone as slow and plotting as Angulo is able to catch him and down him twice, what is a more technical, more skilled boxer puncher like Canelo going to be able to do? Then you could say the same thing with Canelo. You could say he had all kinds of trouble with Mayweather with the movement. He was out of position, constantly had to reset, and he just couldn't get anything off. So another slick boxer is going to pose problems for him. So really, with my prediction, I'm going to wing it. I've had both fighters as my pick at one point, and like I said, I'm gonna wing it because at the end of the day, I'm not mad at whoever wins. Whoever wins is, unless it's some bullshit, is deserving of the king of 154 pounds. You could say Mayweather, but Mayweather's not a permanent resident up there, so let's be real with that. And then Demetrius Andrade, very talented young individual I've had the pleasure to work with, but he doesn't have the type of resume. You know what I mean? Even Canelo's resume since the Austin Trout fight has stepped up. And even before that, he still had Shane Mosley and guys who were, you know what I mean, on losing streaks or old or whatever. But Edeslandi Lara versus Canelo, very hard to pick. And like I said, I've had both fighters, and I was going to pick Edeslandi Lara. Then I went kind of switched to Canelo. And I think I'm going to ultimately land on Edeslandi Lara. This is why, because I was kind of weighing out everything. I'm like, okay, looking at the pros and cons, and they both have weaknesses and vulnerabilities. And just through the process, my thought process, I think this is a fight that is going to be fought in halves. If Canelo is to win, his best shot of winning, minus like a robbery or, you know what I mean, an unfair judge scorecard or whatnot, because they did pull that bullshit with Floyd Mayweather. He got completely outclassed, and one judge, C.J. Ross or whoever, still tried to give him the fight and say it was a draw, and you know what I mean, led to a majority decision, which was some bullshit. So I think Canelo has more than one way to win. You know what I mean? He can win just by technique and you know what I mean, his own abilities, and he can also win on the scorecards. So that's one thing that's kind of shaky with me picking Edeslandi Lara. Another thing that's kind of shaky is Edeslandi Lara has been talking a lot of shit about Canelo to the point where it's borderline underestimating Canelo, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he's just doing a poker face and he knows what he's getting into, and that's kind of what I'm banking on. But I don't agree with the underestimate. He's talking like Canelo's a piece of shit, like Canelo's not a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? The way I've seen him say certain things. He said he was going to pop De La Hoya in the mouth too, and he said he's going to shut Canelo up. He's been asking for this fight. He's been calling him out. One thing I will say about Canelo that I really respect and really like, the kid shows heart. He, against his advisors, probably like 2 or 3 times now. The Austin Trout fight, I don't think they really wanted to make that fight. Austin Trout was undefeated at the time, just defeated Cotto. I don't think they wanted to make that fight. And the pressure was on. People were asking for it. Canelo made the fight or got it done. A lot of people thought he was too green to fight Mayweather, and he was like, fuck it, I want it. And you know what I mean, he went on record saying he wanted the fight, and Edeslandi Lara hopped up on stage, and enough was enough, and he took the fight. So props to both fighters for participating in this event to begin with. But I really think Canelo is very competitive, and like I said, the whole underestimating Canelo thing, I think, is a mistake if this is exactly how Edeslandi Lara feels, because Canelo is better. Like, you know what I mean? You look at him, you're like, oh, he ain't shit. And then you get in there like Austin Trout did, and then you realize, oh, damn, this dude's a little bit smarter than I expected. He actually show some head movement. Where did that come from? I've never seen him use that. So I think Canelo is sort of untapped. Like, he gives you little aspects of his game and what he has in the tool shed. He doesn't just give it to you all at once where it's just like, oh, this was a performance where I seen head movement, a proper jab, great body punching, combination punching, speed. You know what I'm saying? It's like different fights. I see snippets of these different abilities that he has. So that at least shows that he has it, or he can dig down deep and, you know what I mean, use some head movement or whatever. So I think Austin Trout was another guy that underestimated Canelo and his abilities. I think he has deceptive hand speed. The reason why I'm picking Edeslani Lara, some of the reasons why, would be I think he has more pop than Mayweather. So if Mayweather was able to trouble him and get his respect, I think Lara probably has a little bit more. He's just a bigger dude. You know what I mean? So I think his pop is going to get Canelo's attention and at least his respect. That's my personal opinion. Mayweather, I think on fight night was maybe like 148, 150 against Canelo. So he was on the lighter side. So I think Mayweather is more elusive and he's swifter on his feet than Edeslani Lara. But Edeslani Lara still has good movement. He still comes from the Cuban school of boxing and he's still slick. He's just not as light on his feet as a guy like Mayweather, which could be interesting because, you know what I mean, if Canelo does bring the aggression and land those straight, like a straight right on the southpaw, it could be a very entertaining fight. We could see Edeslani Lara go down. So I hope he's not underestimating him, and I hope all the shit that Edeslani Lara is talking, he really is going into this fight and training with the respect of that Canelo should be receiving. You know what I'm saying? I think Canelo's been guided slowly pre-Austin Trout, and I now, when everything's said and done, I don't know how much of that was because of him. Sounds like his handlers were trying to, you know what I mean, baby him, and it gets to a point where you got to pop the titty out their mouth and let them fight and see what they're really made of. And I think Canelo showed us some things. He dealt with adversity in the Alfonso Gomez fight, and I like how he responded. The only fight that he really didn't show us shit was against the number one pound for pound dude, and that's Floyd Mayweather. So another reason I'm picking Edeslani Lara, aside from the slick shit and the movement, I think Edeslani Lara, he processes pretty fast, and he's going to get Canelo into a position where he's constantly turning him. And Canelo, even though he has deceptive hands, he doesn't have fast feet. So he has pretty fast hands, but his feet aren't that fast. It's like he's in quicksand and shit. That's one problem for Canelo. And then, again, I think Edeslani Lara has a little bit more pop, a little bit more sting on his punches than a guy like Mayweather. Mayweather's just smaller. So that's going to favor Edeslani Lara. But it could be interesting. Again, I think this is a fight that's going to be fought in halves. Canelo's best chance of winning is in that first half. But to me, I look at this fight and I look at it like, who is going to have to in order to win this, who is going to have to become something completely that we haven't seen before? And to me, that person is Canelo. Because Canelo, to beat him, he's going to have to try to mimic what Angulo did. And Angulo, that's his style. He's relentless. Watch the fight with James Kirkland. Angulo has this brawler, relentless style, and he can crack. Now, Canelo has power too, but he's more of a boxer puncher. So I think we're asking Canelo to be something that ultimately he's really not. He doesn't fight in a brawler, you know what I mean, nonstop, high volume for the duration of a fight type of style like Angulo. You know what I mean? You got certain guys, certain Mexican fighters even, that they throw a high volume of punches. You know what I mean? Like a Leo Santa Cruz. He throws a lot of fucking punches, his activity level, and it just kind of breaks you down. Same thing with Angulo, but Angulo has the power to hurt most of the guys he's in there with. Canelo has the power to hurt you, but he's not really a volume guy. And I've seen issues where he has stamina issues and he starts fatiguing. So again, as the fight goes on, in my opinion, it leans more towards Edeslani Lara and it favors him more because Canelo seems to fight in spurts, and that's always been a bad habit. And sometimes he doesn't let his hands go. Like I was watching the Shane Mosley fight, and he was just fighting in spurts, kind of like Pacquiao did against Timothy Bradley in the first fight. And against a guy who's landing shots and slick and knows how to get in and out like a Lara, that's not good. You know what I mean? That's not going to be good enough. On the contrary, I think the one thing that's kind of weighing against Edeslandi Lara is he has to look absolutely spectacular, similar to Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo or Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Nonito Donaire, because they could try to job him with the decision. You know what I mean? If there's, especially if he gets knocked down, so he has to try his best to keep his balance and not touch that canvas, because the moment Edeslandi Lara touches the canvas, it's immediately like he lost probably like 2 or 3 rounds as opposed to having a 10-8 round, because that's how in my opinion, the judges are going to perceive Canelo. You know what I mean? Because when they did the open scoring with Austin Trout, even though that was in Texas, not Las Vegas, they had that motherfucker up by way more rounds than he should have been. So he knew he was comfortably in the lead and he could just coast it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go in there, and Edeslandi Lara needs to go in there with the seek and destroy, stay out of danger, drag Canelo into the deeper rounds type of mentality. You know what I mean? Box smart. Don't get suckered into a brawl, because that's going to favor Canelo. Even though he's not really a brawler, he's still a good puncher, and he's a good boxer puncher. So I'm just looking forward to the fight. It's a real good fight. I really don't give a shit who wins, because they deserve it. You know what I mean? Barring some bullshit decision or controversy, that means they really worked for this, and everything that they've done in their career has led up to this moment. So overall, 50-50 fight. It's a great fight. There was just too many things that I seen within Canelo, and I think for him to beat Edeslandi Lara, he's gonna have to just kind of reinvent himself. He has more room to make up. You know what I'm saying? Like Angulo troubled him. Carlos Molina troubled Edeslandi Lara. You can't doubt or, like, you know what I mean, omit those things. But Carlos Molina doesn't really fight like Canelo. He's just awkward. And I've seen several people fight Carlos Molina, James Kirkland, and just tons of people. And he's very awkward. It's hard to look good. It's kind of like a Mauricio Herrera. Like Danny Garcia looked like shit against Mauricio Herrera. You know what I mean? Cream Mayfield beat Mauricio Herrera, but he didn't look spectacular in doing so. So some guys are just very, very awkward. And Carlos Molina is tough, and he has a chin. So it's just hard to look good against him. But I don't think Canelo fights anything like Carlos Molina. So really, the guys that have troubled Edeslandi Lara, I don't really feel Canelo fights like them. Canelo doesn't really fight like Angulo, a nonstop, relentless pressure. But the one thing that makes this very interesting, where my prediction could be wrong, is, again, Canelo shows you spots of greatness, spots of being a really good world-class fighter, where he shows different things. You're like, oh shit, where did this head movement come from? Or even in the Angulo fight, everybody thought he was gonna have to chase Angulo was gonna have to chase Canelo around the ring, because they're like, oh, Angulo's the bigger puncher. Canelo's fought a lot of smaller guys. Angulo's a true 154-pounder. El Perro's gonna have to chase. You know what I mean? He's the dog. He's gonna have to chase Canelo. And Canelo came out with a great game plan. Him and Chepo, they came out with an excellent game plan, and they brought the fight to Angulo, and I know he wasn't expecting that. Again, he thought he was going to have to search and find Canelo and corner him on the ropes and shit like that. Canelo walked up to him like a beast and just started unloading shots, and it kind of set the tone, just like the Super Bowl last year with the Denver Broncos. The very first play, they punted the ball, and they got a safety. The Seahawks got a safety on the Broncos, and overall, that just set the whole tone for the whole Super Bowl, and the Broncos never were able to get out of the hole. I really feel that's kind of what happened in the Angulo fight. Canelo started that first round off very solid, took away some of Angulo's confidence, and when he started fatiguing, it was already, you know what I mean, it was already too late, because all he had to do is pot shot and land some big shots, and he was winning the fight. So, great fight. I'm picking Edeslandi Lara to win via split decision, maybe even a majority decision. I think he's going to have to really work for it, and I think he's going to have to do a whole hell of a lot to convince the judges to give him the fight. You know what I mean? He has to look great in this fight. Let me know what you guys think. As always, make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.